here, Kelly for the Life, and bringing to you another lesson in the crystal magic with the Taurus new moon. So, like I said in the video yesterday, the last video, that I kind of got started late this month or this moon cycle with the Taurus new moon, and it is almost the Scorpio full moon, but I still wanted to do these crystal lessons because I just love crystals. And I like bringing crystals and the Taurus energy together. And the sun, of course, is in Taurus. So even though, I kind of missed that first part of this moon cycle, it's okay. I'm going to catch up and we're just going to keep on going with where we are right now. So the next thing I want to do, and I do have this PDF workbook that you can download, and it's got all the things about crystals and Taurus energy. It's got an intention page. So if you want to do an intention for anything that you're working on, maybe you want to do an intention for a crystal grid, like we did yesterday. So this is a mind map here that you can use to do that. If the full moon coming up on Monday, then you can maybe do a an intention that you want to do for that full moon that's coming that day, maybe for the rest of this cycle that you're in right now. So use it however you want. And then, but yeah, here's the page for yesterday with crystal grids. So you can go back and watch yesterday's video to see how, when I talked about crystals and crystal grids and how to do your own crystal grid. And today we're going to talk about crystals and the chakras. So, and there's also lots of journaling pages too. There's more than one, but here's what the journaling page looks like. But the journaling pages that you can take notes on, that you can make your own crystal grids, do your own intentions, do your own journaling, whatever you want to do for the journaling pages. But today I wanted to talk to you about crystals and the chakras because I think they work very well together. Now, of course, we here in especially in the United States, we use crystal or use chakras in a very specific way. We've kind of brought all the chakras down into these seven kind of main chakras that we use throughout the body. And I like it because it is a good way to talk about your body. It's a good way to talk about the things that you're feeling, your physical body, as well as your mental and emotional body and your spiritual body. And the chakras kind of embody all of those things for me. And so I like to use chakras or crystals with the chakras because then you can kind of focus on one point, or you can have them all kind of laid out, or just use one crystal for your whole chakra system because you do ultimately want all of them working in the same way, working in the same, balanced and working when they need to be supported and, supportive when they need to support you or support each other. So you do want to kind of balance and you want harmony and you want to feel like that your physical and your emotional body and your spiritual body all kind of flow into each other. And so using crystals is a good way to get in touch with your chakras, see what's happening there. And I like to use them specifically when I'm doing Reiki treatment sessions or Reiki healing sessions because I can then, it's like a touch point and I can go in and sometimes in Reiki and healing, when I do Reiki healing, sometimes something just comes up and I know that's what it is that I need to focus on. And it's just, and most of the time it's not, it's just a feeling. It's just a sensation. It's a feeling that I get. And I think this is what needs to happen in this next, however many minutes we have. And sometimes it's a little bit harder. And sometimes there's lots of things going on that need to be balanced. And so, I kind of look and those crystals help me get in touch with that chakra and kind of see, is this something that is going okay? Is this something that needs more support? Is this something that needs to flow better? Is there, I get a lot of that kind of feeling of things being stuck or things being rough when they should be smooth, or smooth when there needs to be something there to kind of turn it up. So it's a lot of those different kinds of things in Reiki and those kind of different healing ways that you can use. And I just like to do that, especially if I'm doing a distant healing, because then I can use those crystals as that connection to that person. So if I'm doing this over a Zoom meeting, then I can use the crystals to get in touch with that person's energy and kind of make that connection. So I use those, and so I have a set that I have, I keep, and so I can use it. It's always ready when I want to do Reiki healing. And so then I can, and if I know that I need to focus in on something else that doesn't have anything to do with that, then I do that. But it's a good way just to kind of listen also, just listen and get in touch. And you can do that as well. You can meditate with these crystals, get in touch with, what is it this crystal is telling you that your chakra needs, or what is this, just opening a channel, just opening that channel. Many of us are kind of afraid of meditation or afraid of sitting still or afraid of listening, and just opening up that channel with a crystal in your hand or with several crystals like maybe in front of you for your each one of your chakras, or one that you use maybe like a selenite piece or clear quartz or like tourmaline or something like that you use is kind of getting in touch. And then it calms you and you can listen and you can focus. And sometimes I know that the times I really need to focus and meditate are the times I feel like I can't do it, that I've got so many things going on, and having that place of just sitting and just, you having the crystal in my hand and just say, okay, I'm just going to spend the next 5 minutes meditating, and these just next 5 minutes just sitting still and just listening. And so it kind of takes that pressure off of trying to clear your mind or trying to, think of just one thought, or something like that. So it has that, and then by the end of that 5 minutes or however long it ends up being, then I feel better and I feel like I'm focused. So on this page, and that's some ways that you can use the crystals and the chakras and in meditation and healing. But specifically, I have crystals here, suggestions, and these again are just suggestions. These are things that you can try out on your own and try out and see which one works for you and which one doesn't work for you. Maybe you just, some people just have like a selenite. This is just a selenite wand, and you might just have this, in your hand or in front of you, and you can use that for all your chakras. You might feel much better with something else, but these are ones you can kind of get started with, and I'll show you the ones that I have and use. So for the root chakra, for the earthy energy, that connection to the earth, I have, and it associated colors are, I'll go through the colors as well, but the associated color is red. So this is a red jasper that I use, and I love red jasper, all kinds of red jasper, because it is very grounding but yet very earthy at the same time. So for the root chakra, red jasper, black tourmaline, or red calcite. So any of those are suggestions that you might want to use for that chakra. So then for your sacral chakra, remember that is here. That is the place of intimacy, the place of creativity, the place of emotion, and its associated color is orange. And so you can use carnelian, orange calcite, or ametrine. And this I use a carnelian. And I like carnelian because it's kind of got that double, um, because it leads into the solar plexus, it kind of has that fiery energy that kind of leads into the solar plexus, but it's very creative. Carnelian to me is just a very creative stone, a very, something that when I want to get in touch with my creativity, I turn to carnelian. So then for your solar plexus, here, just below your rib. That is, like I said, your place of fire, place of empowerment, place of, I'm going to do it. And its associated color is yellow. And so you could use a tiger's eye, yellow calcite, or pyrite. Personally, I choose a tiger's eye because I just, again, love tiger's eye. Just, it's this wonderful blend of grounding stones. So it's very good for this lower third of your lower three chakras. And, but it's very empowering. It's got that kind of, go get them energy. And so I like to use that for the solar plexus. So then moving into now we've got our bridge here, the heart chakra, which is the associated color is green or pink. You'll see pink a lot of times too. But this is our center of unconditional love, our center of connection with other people, our connection self-love with, to ourselves. And this is, you could use green fluorite, epidote, or rose quartz. And personally, I use green aventurine. This is one that I feel very close to and comfortable with. And so I will use a green aventurine. And so that is the one in my tool chest. Next, moving up to the throat. Here, better communication, better listening, better hearing, um, you know, speaking your truth, but doing it in a way that's tactful, that's the way that's going to get you where you want to be and put up those boundaries if you need them. So here with the throat, you could use blue lace agate, dumortierite, or celestite. And I have a little celestite, just a piece of tumbled celestite that I use. And I really like that because it's very soothing. And I feel like that sometimes working with the throat chakra, especially with my throat chakra, and I've worked with it in the past, kind of getting past that, not saying things because I don't want to offend somebody, or not saying things because I feel like, well, who wants to listen to me anyway? Or, not expressing my viewpoint because I think it's less important. And for, when I was growing up, I had a very much a, a I don't know how to call it, but maybe a leader complex, in that I felt like that someone in a leadership position automatically knew what they were doing, and I was always less than. And so, and it could have been anything, it could have been anything from, the pastor at a church, my doctor, someone who was in charge of a group that my kids were in, something like that. And I felt like that if they were in that leadership position, then they must know something, and and some of them did, but a lot of them didn't. A lot of them did not know and did not deserve, in my opinion, again, in my opinion, did not deserve to be in that position. And I had a hard time speaking my truth in those times when I knew that something that they were doing was wrong, or something that they were doing was not for the benefit of a group, or it was not a place that, my kids were going to get something out of. And so that was really hard for me. And that, I think, is one of the reasons that I work with a lot of throat chakra things now, and blue, the color blue comes up a lot because I think I had that for a long time, and it took me a while to get to that. And now when I get to a point where I feel like that I'm deferring to someone because they're in a leadership just because of their title, then I kind of lean on that throat chakra and getting through it, and getting it out, and saying, even if I can't say it to their face, I can at least say it out loud, and I can say it, and say it in an email, or say it, to my husband, or say it, to something, someone, so that they will understand what I'm going through. And if it's something that is affecting me, like, making sure that a doctor is listening to my symptoms and listening to really what's going on and not just kind of jumping to a conclusion. And, that happened to me before too. So, that kind of coming through. And so that was a very special stone. So I like to use that a lot. So I do have, pieces of celestite that really help me in that throat chakra because I think that's one that I have to work with a lot. So then your third eye, this is great for your intuition when you want to see things from a different perspective, when you're looking in, when you're doing meditation. Your third eye is there for that. And you can use sodalite, labradorite, or azurite are some suggestions for that. And I use sodalite, love sodalite. This is one of my well, all of these are some of my favorite ones, but Soda Light is one that I use. I have almost like everywhere, especially like here when I do a lot of magical work. I have it here, and it's one that my husband really likes too. And he is very connected to Soda Light. And so, in the little bit that he uses for certain things, but he does like Soda Light. So I think it is something that is kind of like um good for our family. So I like it. And then finally, your crown chakra, we've rooted to the earth, and now we want to open up to the divine. And here, I think it's very important that you have that opening because I think a lot of times we get to this point and it's like, well, I'm not good enough, or I'm not aware enough, or I'm not enlightened enough. But wherever you are, whatever connection you have, that is good enough, and that is good enough for you. And this is a place where you can really use crystals to really connect to the divine in whatever way that you see it. Connect to the universe. Connect to. I like to just hold these crystals and just meditate on the universe. Meditate on the just vastness of the universe and how special we are to be here on Earth and to be this human walking this divine path on this earth. And so for the crown chakra can be amethyst, lepidolite, or selenite. And I do use lepidolite a lot because I don't but well, here's my lepidolite that I have, but I don't use it because it's a big piece of it. I usually don't use it for chakras and chakra healing because it's a big palm stone, and I like to have like a set that I can take with me. So, in this set that I use is amethyst, and amethyst is one of those. Just I say it for everyone. It's just a great stone. I love it. But amethyst is one of those that's very very you can use it in a lot of different ways. It can be very opening, it can be very soothing, it can also be very grounding if you have these darker amethyst stones. It can be in the purple. It's hard to show how pretty purple it is on on the screen, but it's just a lovely stone, and it's one that I think that if I were to say for beginners, it's probably one that I would suggest along with rose quartz and maybe clear quartz. But it's one that it's very opening. It's very, just thinking about being in this vast universe, connecting to the planets and the stars and all of those things. That's what amethyst means to me. And I mentioned lepidolite, and I showed you my lepidolite stone, and I have several because lepidolite is very good. It has, and I think it's lithium in lepidolite, and so it's very good if you have anxiety or if you're or you feel very anxious. So I use it. I have pieces of lepidolite everywhere, but it's really good if you just kind of as a side note. And this is what's great about crystals is that you can use them for different things. But I use them when I used to have really bad panic attacks and anxiety. I would carry lepidolite and with me just about everywhere, and so I have little pieces of it in different places. But And I always keep, a piece of it here on my desk. And I have pieces of it that when I travel, I take it, put it in my luggage. If I have pockets, I stick it in my pocket. Sometimes you pull a bra. But lepidolite is a good one for that. And it's very helpful as a kind of grounding stone. I can just hold it in my hand and and just feel better. And so it's something that if you want to, if you feel like that you need support in that area, then it's a good one for that. But for going back to the chakras, those are just they're all on here on this sheet, so you don't have to worry about writing them down. And you can go and just go to a crystal store, go somewhere that you can get your hands on crystals, and just and put them in your hands and see how you feel with them. Because some of these, I'm sure that you'll have different reactions to than I do, or you'll pick up on and you'll say, this does nothing for me. And others you'll think, I have to have this in my house, and if you can't actually purchase a crystal at this time, take a picture of, find a picture of one on the internet and use that, put it on your phone, meditate with it. You can, buy, a pack of oracle cards that have crystals in them, and you can use them that way, or buy just one crystal book that has lots of pictures and lots of crystals in it. And then so you're not, buying a lot of different, you might just put that one, one that money into that one purchase of that. And there's lots of pictures and things on the internet and videos of people using crystals and things like that, so that you can do that if you're not in a place to purchase any crystals right now. And you can also go out in your backyard and find stones that resonate with you and use that. I've got several stones, around my house that came from different places. When we lived on our farm, there was all kinds of things that always pulling out of the ground, and so I have there's lots of those. So and they're just as great. And some of the best ones are ones that were down. We had a creek that ran between our property and the property next door, and there were always just like smooth stones. And so every once in a while, I would find one that was just this just perfectly smooth, stone, and I would take it back, and I have them everywhere, but I don't have any up here, but I use them, and they're just as great as a pricier crystal that I bought at a crystal store. So there's lots of ways that you can do this and use this, and you can even draw little crystal symbols, and something that looks like a crystal to you, and color it in with the different colors. And that can help you when you're, especially when you're working with your chakras, and you use those color combinations and color associations. So lots of different ways that you can use crystals and with the chakras, and use them in, just if you want to have them, a set like this, then you can do that. But look around and see which ones that you like and that resonate with you. So thank you for being here today. I'm going to try to do another one of these, hopefully this weekend, and do some more in the next week or so. And I'll be here on Monday for the full moon, and we'll do something special for that day, and then do some kind of finishing up things for this new moon, and working on into the Gemini new moon. And I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but something for the Gemini new moon. But anyway, have some fun with some crystals today, and check in with those chakras, and let me know how it's going. And I will see you again later. Bye.